Welcome to the editor's commentary / behind the scenes for the Project Eden's Garden announcement trailer. If you don't know, Project Eden's Garden is planned to be a free-to-play game heavily inspired by the Danganronpa series. It is worth noting, I am not involved in the creation of the game. I did not draw any of the art pieces used in the video. I did not make the music. Please check the video description for links to the project and everyone involved. I was just commissioned as the video editor, so I can only answer questions about the editing. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to spend the rest of this video detailing the techniques I used to make the trailer. This is less of a tutorial and more of a general explanation as to what I did. But if you have any detailed questions that you can't find an answer for elsewhere, I'll do my best to answer them in the comments. So please ask me your questions down below. Fun fact, I created the entire video within Adobe After Effects. No, that's wrong. I needed a background for this segment and my HitFilm Pro license hadn't expired yet. HitFilm Pro had an awesome fire effect that I realized would work perfectly, so I snuck back into that program to make the background, then exported it as a transparent AVI file to import into After Effects. Now, I know everyone's going to ask about how I made the text boxes, so let's get that out of the way first. I spent ages puzzling over the incredibly cool way in which the V3 opening reveals their text boxes, and then realized I would never be able to replicate something so powerful. So, I decided to go for a more basic but still complicated process. Early shots still contain a very messy representation of my first attempts, while later shots are clean and nice, and actually have organized and named layers. Oops, the director has asked me to change something about the earlier shots. Now I have to stumble through my insane mess of a composite shot like some kind of digital historian. Anyways, here's the basic premise. I would start by making the text box itself as a separate comp. The texture was made with the fractal noise effect, and then I just threw some color on top. Since each of these comps has two distinct colors, I couldn't just use the same composite shot multiple times in every shot with a color correction effect. So instead, every character has their own text box comp. For the reveal animation, I decided to make one big animated matte, that's matte, not matte, that I could use multiple times. I took a white plane, that's plane, not plane, used the shatter effect, and tweaked it until the plane was shattering from left to right with the effect's gravity setting set strongly to the right. Then I can drop the matte on top of the text bar and set the text bar's track matte to Luma, which makes the brighter parts of the matte translate to opaqueness and the dark parts to transparency. Ooh, wait, I made it backwards. Oh well, instead of fixing it, let's just set it to Luma inverted. I then offset the text bar for that nice additional color, then shipped them on over to the character shots. The most time-consuming step was to position the text bar comps in the 3D space. After Effects is more of a 2.5D program than a 3D one, so there wasn't a tool I could find to make this easier. The text itself was also created as separate comps, taking normal text and sending it through a process to give it texture and things. Usually I'll drop all the assets down first and then start blocking out camera movements. Once those are done, I'll make sure the text boxes animate with the correct timing, throw down any additional background elements, and in some cases start working on puppet animations. Next comes lighting, which seems unnecessary for a scene that isn't real, but it does wonders for the overall look. I follow that up with depth of field, making sure every moving layer has motion blur, and then setting up the adjustment layers. Bit of color correction, bit of a vignette, then a bit of noise, some subtle warping of the edges, and we're good to go. If I'm feeling fancy, I'll mess around with glows as well. I bet you're wondering how I did this shot. Well, remember the shatter effect from earlier? This time I used it correctly. I pre-comped the shot, threw on the shatter effect, set it up as glass, animated the radius of the shatter force, and then pre-comped that layer, enabled time remapping, animated the speed to slow down right as the shatter happens, and then added the bullet in as a separate layer on top. So the bullet has no effect on the shatter itself. Really, I could have used any other image. For the glowy background, I took a white plane and then spent some time watching YouTube tutorials on how to do volumetric glows in After Effects. Fun fact, I still don't know how to use Adobe Illustrator, so when I realized I need a bullet asset for multiple shots, I turned to the one other artistic tool I can actually use, Blender. This elevator shot looks fancy, but I couldn't figure out a fancy way to do it, so I animated a shape layer to look like it was moving in a 3D space. Then I duplicated it, adjusted the size of the duplicates, offset their animations, rinse and repeat. I used some glows to make it look more like light and less like an After Effects shape layer. Now, if there's anything you take from this video, it's the fact that pre-comping is insanely powerful. Not only is it a great organization tool, but it'll keep things working correctly when you need to use effects on top of effects on top of effects. The entire video is made within one project file because every shot is pre-composed and assembled in one ultimate composite shot. It's pretty big, there's a lot to it, but that's where everything goes. Okay, hopefully I managed to cover all the big things I did. But if there's any editing techniques I didn't mention that you'd like an explanation for, please reach out to me in the comments and I'll do my best to answer when I'm available. I've mentioned it before, but some videos I make are commissions and don't end up on my personal channel. So if you want to keep up to date on things I make, please make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll link that in the description. Alternatively, I keep a playlist for videos I make that aren't on my channel, so I'll link that in the description as well. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. See ya.